welcome back. I know I've been gone all summer, but it's been a hot, brutal summer. I think everybody knows that. Um, this is probably the hottest summer that I've experienced. I know we had multiple days in the hundreds with the heat index. I do believe there was an actual temp that we broke a record. I believe it was actually on my birthday this year in July that it was 101. So I uh, I just don't handle the heat well, so that's why there hasn't been any videos posted this summer. I think the last video I did was when I did the front flower bed, and that was back in, I believe, early June when I did that one. But today, what we're talking about and what I'm going to review is the Ironcraft Flail Mower FL165. Now, what made me decide to get a flail mower is believe is the compact size of it, and I believe it's the cutting results that you get from a flail mower. Um, I've used a brush hog before. My neighbor across the road, he has a 6 foot brush hog, and I've used that before, and it cuts nice. But what's nice about the flail mower, it gives you, to me, better results because it just cuts it up a lot better. Of course, with mine, it's set up right now with the hammer blades on it. And what's nice about the hammer blades is that it will eat through uh, the majority of, heavy brush, uh, saplings. Uh, it just tears it up and just grinds it up and makes it into almost kind of like mulch in a way. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is better than, like a full-fledged like a forestry mulcher that you can buy nowadays to put on a skid steer. And now they have come out with mulchers that will fit on your 3-point attachment for tractors. But again, those are a nice chunk of change for one of those, and I'd love to have one of those, just because I believe I could get even better results um, for my woods. Again, there's a lot of spots that I want to clear out, but some of it I'm just going to have to do it by hand because there's bigger trees that I really don't want to put the flail mower through that. So, but what I'm going to do today is just kind of go over a review of the flail mower itself, and I'll give you some specs on it. And so far, I've been very happy with it. I've had this for about a year and a half, and I will have to say I've put it through some paces, and it's worked very well for me. Um, Besides the hammer blades, I also have the Y blades, which I'm probably going to change out here before too long, just because I want to get the hammer blades off and I want to sharpen them up. I haven't sharpened these hammer blades since I've owned the flail mower, so I want to get those hammer blades off, uh, take a grinder to them, sharpen them up, clean them up, and that way, you know, I can put them back on and they'll be ready to go because I want to uh, hit a certain part of my property, and there's a lot of saplings over there. So I don't want to do it with, with dull blades. But in the meantime, while I'm sharpening these blades up, I will just put the Y blades on and use that to cut grass and heavy brush. And it can take down small saplings with the Y blades, but it doesn't do as good of a job as I believe the hammer blades do. So let's get into the review. So the specs of the hammer blade is from outside to outside is about 70 inches. And then you go from basically your drum that has all the blades on it, it's like 65 inches. So that's why, it's a 165. So it's a 65-inch drum across. There are 25 hammers on it right now. And now, of course, when I take those off and put the Y blades on, then you're actually going to have 50 blades um, that will be doing your cutting when you use the Y blades. The roller bar here is what I like to use to set on the ground as I'm cutting and kind of tilt the front part of the mower up. That way I know I'm not hitting, you know, a bunch of rocks and, stuff like that, because that will um, damage your blades or dull them, a lot faster. Right? You don't want to be hitting dirt with them because that is what's going to dull your blades a lot quicker. The width of your blade from front to back is approximately about 26.5 inches. So that's what I like about having a flail mower, is that you don't have that big tail, like you would with a brush hog, hanging way off the back. And especially like where I uh, am on my property, there's areas that are pretty tight and narrow, especially like when I'm cutting my walking paths and all that through my woods. This is just so much easier to maneuver back there. So that's why, again, I went with a flail mower, so that it's, again, it's a lot more maneuverability, better access to certain areas. Um, so that was kind of my reason. As you can see, when I was setting it up, unfortunately, the one thing I don't like about this flail mower is that it's not quick hitch compatible. If it was quick hitch compatible, this would be uh, very, very easy to set up. Not that it's hard to set up, you still attach your 3-point lengths, and I'd probably say the first 3 or 4 times, um, it was a struggle. But once you kind of get in the routine and knowing what, needs to be hooked up first and all that, it actually goes by pretty quick now. It maybe takes me, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes to get it hooked up now. So and that includes, your 3-point lengths, the PTO shaft, and setting up my kickstand so that I'm not dragging that. Uh, and that's it. Once I get all that set up, I'm ready to go. As you see, when I hooked up my top link here, I use this slot, and you also have, a bottom one where, you could also run the pin through. But the reason why I use the top one here is so that, as I said before, that back roller I have on the ground. And what that is going to do is going to allow to follow the contours of the ground. Well, if you have it in this first hole on the bottom, you know, it's not going to follow the ground as easy. Whereas if you put it in this top slot here, this is going to be able to slide back and forth, and it's going to allow your mower to do kind of the same thing because it has a little bit of motion to it. So it's going to be able to follow the contour of the ground a little bit better. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, um, but it does give you better results with your cut if you happen to have a flail mower that has a top slot like this. Of course, there's always grease fittings. So there's a grease fitting underneath that cover there. And of course, this is your belt housing here. And then you have a grease fitting there, a grease fitting there, and a grease fitting on the other side. This one here is for your drum roller, and then the two that are uh, here are for just your roller bar that rides on the ground. One thing I will say about the Zerks that are for your roller bar here, I went ahead and changed these out. These are more at an angle, so they're easier to get to. Whereas before they were just, straight out, and it was hard to really get your grease gun to fit on that fitting there. So I just went ahead and changed them out, and I believe I put on 45-degree Zerks there. So now when I go to grease this, it's simple, connects really simple, easily, and I'm not fighting with it. This is the left side of the flail mower, and as you can see, I changed that one out too, but it's actually a 90-degree Zerk. Um, so it just makes it a lot simpler to connect your grease gun to it. Well, this was just a quick review of the Ironcraft FL165 flail mower. I hope I covered some of the details that you're looking for. If not, please post a comment below, and I will try to answer them for you. Uh, Again, I'm very happy with this flail mower here. Um, I know there's other brands out there. There's Machio, Del Marino, um, but with those flail mowers, they're pretty pricey. Not that this was cheap, um, but again, I'm just using it on my property, and maybe eventually, I might upgrade where you get the hydraulic side shift and tilt and all that kind of stuff, which is nice because I already have rear remotes on the back of my tractor, so it's already set to go if I decide to go that way. But again, I haven't had any issues with it. The only thing, and it's probably uh, at my fault, was the roller bar when I was flail mowing one day actually came off while I was flail mowing, and it was because the bolts got loose. So that definitely told me before I, you know, put my flail mower to use, do a once over on it. Make sure all your bolts are tight, make sure that your gear oil is topped off. Um, so that way your machine is in uh, peak performance and it's ready to go. And it just helps you keep an eye on things. One thing I do like to do once in a while, it's probably about every third time that I use the flail mower, is I'll take the housing off and I'll check the belts, make sure none of them are starting to get frayed or anything like that, because there is a possibility that, while I'm running the machine, if I had to check it beforehand and notice that one of the belts is, starting to fray, then I can just go ahead and replace it and not be in the middle of doing a job and it breaks and then I got to stop and then go get a belt and all that. It just saves you time. Plus, it's going to help keep your attachment in peak performance. I know it doesn't look like it, but I did clean this thing off last time before I put it up. But I haven't cut the grass in probably about 2 weeks or so, and as you might see right there, it's starting to get a little high, and that's the reason why I got the flail mower out today to cut it. But other than that, I would say, as I've mentioned, definitely make sure you check your gear oil. Make sure it's full. There's a side bolt on the side of the gearbox here that you can take off, and then as you fill your gearbox with the gear oil, as soon as it gets to where you can see it or it's just starting to seep out, it's good to go. Of course, make sure your attachment is level and it's not tilted one way or the other. Make sure everything is level, and that way your gearbox is topped off right, because you definitely don't want to run out of gear oil while you're running this, or it could cause a lot of damage to it. So other than that, I can't think of anything else, but I hope you like this review. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as I can with answering those. But again, so far, I've been very happy with the Ironcraft flail mower. It is a uh, product of Italy, but their headquarters is based in Tennessee. And I do believe they have partnered with TYM tractors. So I know that I've seen quite a few guys that have TYM tractors. They're getting the Ironcraft attachments for theirs, for their equipment. Their box blades, flail mowers, I believe rotary cutters. tillers, you know. So it's just a company that, you know, it's not super big, but again, you know, it's a company that so far, and I only own one product from them, but I've been very happy with it. So again, I hope this was some good information for you, and I'll see you next time on Silent Hill Acres.